Welcome to Breaking Modded Minecraft. It's an offshoot of my main series, Ramlecraft Re-Risen. Lol. But, no, yeah, what I plan to do in this series is just basically show you the ways in which you can, kind of break the game. Um, these are tricks that you can use with, like, mod interaction and what have you. Um, Anyway, the main one I guess I'm going to show off today is well, I have two little things for you. The first is infinite lava. All right, lava is a super useful resource in modded Minecraft. Just due to its nature, it's required in a lot of things, but I feel like one of its biggest pulls is the fact it is in energy generation. So you set up something like this. It's a block breaker setup. I just have block breakers running around along the bottom, set to a timer to break these blocks. They, yeah. So I just get infinite cobblestone. It's not that hard of a concept. You can do smaller operations than this, larger operations than this. Whatever. This is just how I decided to do it because I wanted like a lot of block breakers. And then from there, we pump the cobblestone that we're getting into these crucibles from Ex Nihilo. I would say one crucible per block breaker or source of cobblestone is good. I think you can get some extra cobblestone from this, but it'll keep you nice and topped up. Now, what these crucibles do when you put a torch under them is they just melt cobblestone into lava, thereby giving you infinite lava. Like this setup right here is infinite. It'll never end until the server goes down. And then I just store it in buckets because I have a better power generation at the moment, but it'll be useful later, and you never know when you need lava. I mean, it's useful in Tinker's Construct as well. But yeah, speaking of energy generation, I'm going to show two of the sources that I've used before. In this series, I've used the lava generator from Extra Utilities. It's a actually really inefficient way to do this. Now that I'm thinking about it and looking at it, it's a block of iron, a furnace, 2 redstone, and a bunch of gold. And that makes a lava generator. 1 bucket of lava will put out 40,000 RF at 40 RF per tick. It's not exactly the fastest source of generation or anything like that, but it's consistent, especially with that setup. You can just have this run indefinitely, essentially. The better of the two that I have used extensively is the magmatic dynamo, which is actually relatively cheap. It's Invar and iron. Invar is iron and lead, I think, or ferrous rather. And it's just like, yeah, it's just a bunch of Invar, a bit of redstone, and silver. Now this will, off of a bucket of lava, will generate 180,000 RF at 80 RF per tick. It's nice, it's speedy. You can make a bunch of them and just put them up in a line and pipe lava into them, and your power problems are solved, at least for the early game. You can expand it into late game, and you'll have no problems with it, especially if you expand your lava production as well. Now, the other breaking mods isn't I wouldn't call it breaking a mod anymore. Back in 1.6.4, Magical Crops was really tight on its nature essence and weak essence. In that all of the automated production of the magical crops, automatic production and harvesting, would cause you to lose the weak and nature essence that they would generate. So this, which is used for making seeds, and this, which is used for a variety of useful things, actually, like moss stone, lily pads, vines, mycelium, which is really useful, magical fertilizer, cactus, um, and my favorite, magical food, which is just a bunch of their base crops and essence of nature. I say it's no longer an issue. It's no longer breaking the mod, just because there is a way to do it that doesn't require a convoluted setup like this, which is Thaumcraft golems will now, when they break the crops, will now generate these. In 1.6.4, that wasn't the case. They only generated the essence and seed, I'm using diamond seeds here, so they only generated the diamond essence and the diamond seeds, but not the nature essence or weak essence. So it was a problem, and I needed to find a way around it. The way the way around it that I came up with, was autonomous activators on timers with like a sickle. So this current setup here will, after about an hour, activate these autonomous activators. Well, after an hour, we'll activate these autonomous activators. And with the sickles inside of them, they will cut down everything in front of them, minus this crop and this crop, for whatever reason. I mean, it's probably just because it's out of range. And then, yeah, so all of the crops will drop their drops, which includes the weak essence and the nature essence, which will then be sucked up into these vacuum hoppers and piped to where they need to go. So I have seeds being piped into the planter, well, the farming station, and everything else being piped into these chests. So I have it for storage. Now, one thing to note is if you're going to use this method, you're going to want to set the priority on this higher than the chests that they're going into. You're going to want to whitelist the seeds to go into here, and you're also going to want to ignore metadata. Magical crops is really weird in that their seeds, based on when they're harvest, have a different metadata value. See that :3, that's the metadata on the item. And if you don't have it, if you don't have the whitelist ignoring metadata, it will ignore all the seeds that you get, basically, and won't pipe them in here. So it'll eventually run out of seeds, and it will no longer work. Because it just won't replant. From personal testing, I found that these crops, a majority of them will grow by the 60-minute mark, especially if you plant them on fertile soil with the day-night cycle. If you don't have the day-night cycle enabled, it'll probably go a little bit faster, but honestly, a harvest every hour is pretty good. For instance, I've had this running for about 4 hours now, and I have like almost 4 stacks of diamond essence, some nature essence, and some weak essence. Like, you don't really need to go any faster than that with this setup. That said, if you wanted to go faster, there are options that you could do that. There is Ritual of the Green Grove from Blood Magical will do it. It makes everything in a 3x3 grid above it grow faster. It rivals the speed of a time torch, in my opinion, on like the lowest setting. I've heard that Thaumcraft has an option for it as well, a Lantern of Fertility, I believe. So I might play around with those later. Time torches will work with this if you get the ones from Torturino, because Darkcraft is not currently updated. If it does become updated, I'm sure it will work as well. Few things to note, however, is a lot of the open blocks things, such as the sprinkler and the fertilized dirt, do not no longer work with magical crops. So in 1.6.4, popular thing to do with magical crops was to plant them on fertilized dirt and use the sprinkler to speed up their growth a lot without really breaking the growth speed. Um, but the mod author has, like, I guess, gone back and specifically worked out how to negate those things because they work off of bone meal, technically. So they no longer work. So you need to look at more alternatives for speeding up the growth. Um, so yeah, like I said, autonomous activator with sickles. Into here, pipes with the Ender IO farming station. And I just have this entire setup powered off of a windmill set vaguely high. Honestly, this is high. This is higher than I need it to be. I could actually probably bring it down to about where these wires connect and it'd be fine. Um, Likewise, this actual wire setup isn't necessary. You could just go from below. I just did it for visual purposes and because I was lazy and didn't want to mine out underneath here to actually show it off. Um, Another thing to note is Mine Factory Reloaded no longer works with the mod. Um, their planter and neither their planter nor harvester will actually do anything with the crops. So an alternative needed to be found, and the farming station from Ender.io actually works really well. By not putting a hoe into the machine, it won't harvest crops, which will allow you to set up an autonomous activator setup like I have here to gather that way. If you do use the farming station to harvest, you are going to lose out on the nature essence and weak essence. Personally, when I go on with the series, I'm probably going to use the farming station as a farming station and just ignore the weak and nature essence. While magical food is good, I'm not that concerned with it. I have other food sources like Pam's Harvest Craft that are just as good. I mean, yeah, I don't get the regeneration effect, but I get a lot more hunger back and saturation. So it's an even trade-off in my opinion. Right, the actual redstone circuitry. I should probably show that off. So over here, it's basically just hooked up to the main circuit, like so. Now, for the main circuit, what I have set up is a timer set to 60 seconds. That timer puts out a redstone signal to a counter. This counter is set up to count to 10. Yeah, it's set up to count to 10. And when it gets to 10, it'll output here. And then when it gets to this line, it will reset the counter back to 0, like so. And what this essentially does is it converts this minute into 10 minutes. And then resets itself. And then this last counter is set up to a maximum of 6, and this is how it gets 60 minutes. It just, yeah, it converts this 10-minute interval into 60 by multiplying it by 6. And then from here, I have it outputting over here, and it makes these autonomous activators go off. Now, the reason I have a repeater here set to 16 ticks is because when I was testing it in a creative, like in a single player, I found that sometimes with the counter, the pulse would be too short for it to actually register on the autonomous activators. So with a repeater, you're able to lower the not lower. You're able to extend the time that the initial pulse is going out, so that they definitely activate and break all the crops. And then, yeah, I've already shown how this all works. But yeah, if you reverse this setup, you can have the pipes running underground with no ill effect. You can clean up this redstone better so it's all underground again, or in walls, or what have you. Only having the wire come out where it's needed. I just did it this way to really show off how everything is set up. there's a lot of optimizations that can be done, but that's another. Yeah, that's all up to you. So yeah, I hope you've learned something today on breaking Minecraft. Um, Join me next time, and I'll find something else to show you how to exploit. And until then, bye.